So today I'm studying for my abnormal psychology class, and this chapter is on assessments. But because I'm vain, I am going to add some under eye concealer. I think my under eye concealer doesn't look that good because I think this is too pale for me now. So I'm actually going to add something warm into it. I've never done this before, but I think it should work. I'm going to add this peach color corrector. Anyway, you guys, so the way I'm going to study for this abnormal psychology class is that, so I've been trying different methods. The one that I've tried so far that I really like takes so long. Oh my God. So right now what I'm going to do is kind of reverse engineer. I'm going to skim through the chapters and I'm going to go over the titles and headings of everything in the one chapter I'm going to study. That'll give me an idea of kind of like what's what, so I can understand when I'm, learning. I'm going to write that down in my notebook. And then after that, I don't even know. I wrote it down. Let me see. After that, I'm going to... It's crazy how, like, some people know how to study. And then you have people like, me, or like who first time in college, or like didn't have like, and you don't know how to study, and you're like still competing with people who like know how to study. So today what I'm gonna try is I'm going to, where the hell did I write it? Do I not have any viewers? I see that people are joining, but I don't have any viewers in the corner. Am I live? I think I am. Did I not write down what I'm gonna do? Oh my gosh. I've been studying too much. Let me just cover the sleep deprivation. Okay. Oh, that worked. Putting orange color corrector, like mixing it with my concealer. You guys, I threw away my mirror, my little handheld mirror. And now I'm like, I can't tell when my makeup's messed up or not. Okay. So, I'm gonna study for this exam. I have 2 exams on Friday. Quizzes, and then I have 2 exams on Sunday. So I have to study 7 chapters. Yay! And I had COVID the first week of school, so I'm kind of like super behind. And if you guys didn't know about psychology, it's a scientific study. Psychology is science. Absolutely every part of it is like has to do with research and stuff like that. So like it's actually a lot of terminology. Oh, here, I'm just looking for something to put my hair up. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do to kind of help myself, I have ADHD, so what I need to do is simplify. Simplify everything, okay? And the way that I'm going to simplify, actually, let me leave my hair down. Okay, honestly, who cares? Is I'm going to skim the chapter. I don't know if you guys can see. Let me move this so you guys can see. I'm going to skim the chapter. At the start of the chapter, it has an outline. So it outlines what's what in the chapter. Okay? So first things first is I actually want to know what I'm studying. Like, what is this chapter about? When I was younger, like before I knew about my ADHD, I would find myself like taking like 6 hours to read the chapter, and then I'm like, I don't even know what the chapter's about. Like I wouldn't even commit the title to memory. God, that was rough. I don't know how I got my degree, you guys. ADHD is real. Okay, so this is chapter 3 in my abnormal psychology class. And the chapter is about assessments. Chapter 3 is about assessment. And I just learned something new. Assessment has 4 S's. And okay, let's see. I know that sounds like silly, like I'm joking, which I am being playful, but like actually that's kind of how you commit stuff to memory, is you engage with material as you're reviewing it. So now I know assessment has 4 S's. Okay, so according to this outline, it says first thing it's going to teach me about is a case report. So first thing we're going to read is a case report. So I'm going to write that down. The case report is going to be about Ben Robsham. Ben Robsham. So when I start reading, I know I don't have to like memorize this stuff. It's just a case study to help illustrate the points that the chapter is going to make. Okay? So I'm going to put a little box around that. I don't know if you guys can see me boxing this to kind of let me know that's one section of my study. Okay? And this pen's kind of getting on my nerves, so I need to get a different one. You guys, it took me forever to learn how to do this. Okay. The next thing we're going to learn in this chapter is characteristics. Characteristics of psychological assessments. So you know how it's become really popular to like online be like, oh, well, I have this, I have that, so I'm depressed or I have anxiety. Like, no, there are certain characteristics that need to happen for you to be like clinically diagnosed. And first you have to be assessed. And that's what it's going to go through. What are the characteristics of an assessment? Where someone's checking to see, do you have something that we can, provide extra support with? Okay, characteristics of psychological assessments. Assessments has 4 S's. Okay. So that's one. And then let me see if that's going to be its own category or if these following points are part of that. Nope, it's separate. 3.1, 3.2. Okay. So then this is going to have its own little box. So I know that once I read characteristics of psychological assessments, that's it. Everything I read after that won't be about that anymore. It's going to be about whatever the next topic in the outline is here. So the next topic in the outline is clinical interview. So at the start of the chapter, it'll have the outline here for you to see. This is called skimming when you're studying. Okay, have you ever been like at a lecture or whatever and they're talking about so many things and you thought that, this had to do with what they first started talking about at the start of class, but like it turns out it didn't because those are 2 different things. Like this helps you get an outline of like what's what. Okay, so here where it says clinical interview, everything following that is indented. That means that this and this are going to be regarding clinical interview. So this is separate, this is separate, this is separate topics. This is now a separate topic. So when they begin talking about mental status, it's not going to be about clinical interview anymore, okay? They're going to talk about intelligence testing. When we talk about intelligence testing, then we're going to talk about Stanford Binet Intelligence Test and Wechsler Intelligence Scales, okay? When we talk about personality testing, they're going to talk about self-reports. Under self-reports are going to be MMPI-3 and other self-report inventories. But also under personality testing are going to be projective testing. And so this is what I'm writing so that I kind of have it somewhat organized in my mind when I start reading it. Okay, so clinical interview. And underneath clinical interview, some of it is going to be unstructured interview. Have you guys ever had a psychological assessment? I have ADHD, so I had to have a psychological assessment. I didn't know I had ADHD. I was so surprised when they told me I did. I was like, who are you talking to? Not me. They diagnosed me like a lot before I accepted it. And honestly, you guys, I used to be so ashamed and I was afraid, right? And they told me I had ADHD. I was like, no, I was so ashamed, but it's helped me understand myself so much, and it's lowered so much of my stress. Look at this. Look how I'm studying. I couldn't do that before because I didn't know I had ADHD. I thought like if I just try harder. And look at all the acne scars I got from stressing. I have no pimples now because I don't stress myself out. I kind of know what I can and can't do. Okay, next is mental status examination. If you guys like psychology videos, right now I'm taking the abnormal psychology class and the lifespan development psychology. So if you guys like videos talking about that stuff, I'd love to like create videos as I'm studying because it helps me learn the information as well. Okay, so when they talk about mental status examination, that should be a relatively short category because there are no bullet points under it. So looking at the outline, what's next is intelligence testing. So there are tests to determine varying degrees of intelligence. For example, like I said, I have ADHD. ADHD is a developmental disorder. It doesn't have anything to do with intelligence. They're different parts of the brain. And usually people think that, like, for example, like if you're autistic, like, it affects your intelligence. No, they're different things. So intelligence testing, and then you have people who are gifted. They're really high in intelligence. Did you know that for people who are gifted, regular average intelligence people seem to them the way that impaired intelligence people seem to us? Like, if there's someone who is so intellectually impaired that they are unable to take care of themselves, they're unable to, tie their shoes, to even make their own food, like they can't communicate, they can't hold a job, they definitely can't pay bills, and they can't be independent. If they're that intellectually handicapped, to us, like let's say handicapped IQ, let's just say it's 70, okay? And let's just say average IQ is 100. So let's say we have average IQ and we see somebody with a 70 IQ and we're trying to have a conversation with them. We're gonna be like, how many times do I have to say this? Like how do I say this in a way that they understand? So to somebody who has a high IQ, for example, let's say our IQ is 100 and somebody has a higher IQ, 130. That's exactly 30 points more than yours, right? Just like your IQ point is exactly 30 more than the 70 IQ person. So when someone with a high IQ is talking to an average Joe, they're like, how can I simplify this for your average mind? And can you imagine people with even higher IQs? Like Einstein and stuff like that? Okay, let me focus. So for intelligence testing, there are 2 forms of tests. Stanford Binet Intelligence Test. And, how do you pronounce this? Wechsler, WECHSLER, Intelligence Test. Okay, so what I'm getting is for this chapter on psychological assessments, we're going to learn about the characteristics of a psychological assessment. So what makes up a psychological assessment? We're going to learn about a clinical interview. There are structured and unstructured clinical interviews. We're going to learn about mental status examinations. I'm assuming that these are all characteristics of psychological assessments. Intelligence testing. There's 2 forms of intelligence testing. Also, part of a psychological assessment, I believe, is personality testing. So personality. So these are all the things I'm gonna learn about in this chapter. So that's something that I need to be aware of. I'm learning about personality testing, IQ testing, clinical interview. Okay, so for personality testing, they have 2 tests. One is a self-report test. Self-report test. That just doesn't sound reliable. Okay. Under the self-report test, you have a test called MMP. And I don't know if that's an I or a 1. Like, I literally don't know. I'm just going to draw a stick. Could be an L. MPI 3. Oops. Okay, and another self-report test is called other self-report inventories. Other self-report inventories. Now, you don't have to study like this, obviously. My husband, he literally does his homework as like his first time looking at the stuff. And then he takes the quizzes, exams, whatever, and he gets like straight A's. He literally got a scholarship to USC. Like, his version of studying is just doing it. Okay, whereas me, I have ADHD, I have to break it down into simple stuff. Like, because when you have ADHD, you have what's called a limited working memory. And basically, the way to mitigate the problems that causes is to simplify the steps, reduce the amount of steps. Although right now, I did take my Concerta and some of my Adderall. Do you guys have ADHD? And if you do, like, have you tried Adderall or Concerta? Because I used to take Adderall and it was ruining my life. And because obviously of my ADHD, like, I couldn't tell because I'm so naturally emotionally dysregulated anyway. I couldn't tell until my husband was like, noticed, my patterns, because I can't notice my patterns. And ADHD is one of the disorders where people are I don't want to say extremely unaware. I don't know what the right word is, but they are very unaware that they've got it, or that they have some sort of obstacle or whatever. Whereas like with other disorders, you might kind of be like, oh, I think I do have that. Okay, anyway, so for projective personality testing, you have self-report test, projective testing. What is projective testing? Rorschach ink blot test. And see here, I can't tell if this is all one section or these are 2 separate bullet points under projects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my book and I'm going to check projective personality testing, projective testing, self-report, other self-report, projective testing, thematic test. Okay. Rorschach ink blot test is different than thematic. Honestly, you guys, I had no idea that people who major in psychology and psychologists were scientists. This is a lot of biology and stats and stuff like that. Apperception test, TAT. Okay. The next category that we should be learning in this assessment chapter. First, I'm going to block this off in my notes so that I know what's what, okay? So here I wrote down the name of the class, Abnormal Psychology, because I'm also taking another psychology class. I don't want to get confused. The chapter is assessment. It's on assessment. And I feel like I'm going to emphasize that a little bit more. I need it to stand out more at first glance. Anyway, so then I'm going to outline this. I'm going to box it out so that I know this is all one thing. So if I start reading this, I can't stop until I'm done reading whatever is in the box, because it all goes together with that one chapter. I need to make this stand out way more. Assessment. I'm gonna have to use a marker. Chapter 3, assessment, and I just learned assessment has 4 S's. Okay. Next, in personality testing, oh, that's it. There are 2, I guess, personality testing categories we'll go into. Besides that, for assessing abnormal psychological things, we're going to hear real stories. Oh, apparently, this is a story about Demi Lovato. Real stories. Demi Lovato. Lovato. Okay. And behavioral assessment. You guys, I don't want to be a clinical psychologist. Like, I don't want people to come and dump their trauma on me. Not because, like, I don't care, but because, like, the opposite. Like, I care too much. I'm an empath. But I just want to learn about all this stuff, like, because I like it. And I'm hoping it can help, you know, my students, myself. The thing is, like, when you educate yourself, you're helping basically everybody whose life you come into. Neuropsychological. Oh my god, this is a long ass chapter. I feel like a cartoon that's drinking their coffee and going like that. Neuropsychological assessment. Okay. Brief. Screening tests. What else? Mini mental state examination. And that they use the acronym MMSE when they're doing neuropsychological assessments. Oh my god, I love neuropsychology. And they also have Montreal Cognitive Assessment. Let's see. The hell? Montreal. So I know doing this when you're studying doesn't seem like it's that useful of your time. But for brains like mine that are like more chaotic, I think this really helps me see or organize like the information and understand how to categorize it when I'm learning it. Montreal Cognitive Assessment, MOCA. Okay, what else? Brief screening test, and after that it's executive functioning. So in my psychological classes, in my abnormal psychology and lifespan psychology classes, there is a great importance placed on executive functioning, and that comes from the development of your frontal lobe. So I'm thinking that when I get to this part's going to be super important. Excuse me. What's in a DSM-5? Section 3, assessment measures. Wisconsin card sorting test. So I guess I'm going to learn about all the different types of assessments. Probably not all, but I guess maybe the ones that are more important for a psychology, novice to learn. Paste, auditory, serial, addition, test. Okay. PASAT. Oh, I've heard of the PASAT. Okay, this is a long ass chapter. Oh my god. Help me, Jesus. You be the judge. Fuck, psychologist in the legal system, okay. It's really weird. Like when I first went to college for my undergrad, I didn't know what I liked, what I wanted to do with my life. So when I studied, it was so hard. I mostly just wanted to get a degree. But now that I'm older and I'm going back to school because, I actually like enjoy certain things, or there's reasons why I want to learn this. Like, I actually want to learn it. Like, it's not just for a degree. It makes it so much easier. Like, right now that I'm tired, I'm like, ugh, but at least I get to learn this stuff because I like it. Other neuropsychological tests. I did not know that therapists and stuff are basically scientists. I had no idea. Okay. Neuroimaging. Putting it all together. Ben Robsham. And then summary and key terms. Okay. So this is everything I'm going to be studying. So chapter 3, assessment outline. Continue. So I just went over my chapter outline to see how the assessment chapter is going to be broken down. It's going to make it easier for me to follow. I'm considering going in right now and writing down the key terms, like a definition, because I feel like once I read and watch the lecture, I just feel so tired, and I don't want to write the definitions. So I'm like, maybe I should just do it now before I start. Ugh, fine, I will. Look at all these key terms. It's gonna take forever. Oh my god. I'm gonna take a break. Bye, guys.